pension schemes that were not sustainable. And I want to say that in this country, we have been running quite a number of initiatives that are not sustainable. One of them is pension. And the new pension system is the solution going forward. As to the back issues or the historical issues, we can only talk about mediation. And I think mediation is necessary here. It's not a mediation where we are protagonists, but looking at these are Kenyans who have offered a service, and they need something to survive. And that something cannot just be the cash transfer that we give. Can there be something that can be done? And I think this task force, Mr. Chairman, may be able to recommend some suggestions. And Treasury is represented, I hear, in this task force. We'll be able to give our opinion there on how to proceed.
Very well. I think that is the best that can be done to this petition, and especially also that the Minister Cooperatives wasn't able to be here today. So we want to hear from him as well, so that we come to a conclusion of this matter. But otherwise, we sympathize with Nyinyi Wazee and the whole situation, because I was thinking, how come new cooperative happily transferred assets which were manned and probably invested by those that they don't want now? They want the assets, but they don't want the people. So we will continue with this case after we hear from Minister Cooperatives and also the group task force, as the Minister has said. So we rest that, and may I ask the Minister now to go to is it reports? Statements. There is statement of Camri, and the other one is
the one for Ledamo Lekina.
Yeah.
I still have two more, but let me try to.
Yeah, if you can summarize it as much as possible.
Okay. Let me just read it quickly, Chair, if you allow me. On the statement regarding delay in processing and disbursing pension dues to retired employees of the Kenya Medical Research Institute, Camri, under the defined benefit scheme. Honorable Chairman, the background is that Camri Staff Retirement Benefit Scheme is a defined benefit that was established through a trust on 1st July 1983 to offer retirement benefits to the staff of Kenya Medical Research Institute and for the financial relief of their dependents. The scheme was registered by the RBA on 10th November 2005 and is required to comply with the provisions of the RBA Act and regulations. The scheme was closed to new members and future accrual of benefits with effect from 30th June 2008. And Camri established a new scheme, which is Kenya Medical Research Institute Staff Retirement Benefit Scheme, with effect from 1st July 2008. The new scheme operates as a defined contribution scheme and covers benefits with respect to service rendered by employees of the Camri after 1st July 2008. So the defined contribution scheme is fully compliant, and trustees pay benefits to members in a timely manner. And, circumstances that led to the accumulation of unpaid dues for the retired employees of Camri under the defined benefit scheme. 2 years after registration, the RBA received complaints regarding the management and administration of the scheme. In order to protect the interests of members, the authority invoked provision of Section 45(2) of the Retirement Benefit Act by appointing an interim administrator on 13th December 2007 to investigate the allegations of malpractices in the scheme. The interim administrator conducted an audit of the scheme and presented the following findings to the authority. 1, there was misappropriation of funds amounting over 500 million. 2, the scheme was technically insolvent. According to the actual valuation of the scheme, which was dated 30th June 2008, the fund had liabilities equivalent to 727 against only 110 million worth of assets, implying that the scheme had an actual deficit of 616 million. The scheme also lacked proper administrative structures to effectively perform its functions. So over the years, the level of underfunding of the scheme has continued to increase. As of 30th of June 2021, the actuarial valuation of the scheme realized a liability position of 2 billion and assets worth of only 50 million. This implies that the scheme had a shortfall of over 2 billion shillings. This situation has been exacerbated by the lack of commitment by the sponsor, that is Camri, to fund the deficit through a remedial action plan. As a result of this deteriorating financial position of the scheme, the trustees have been unable to discharge their obligations to retiring members in a timely manner. The scheme relies on inadequate annual remittances by the sponsor to pay outstanding benefits. For example, during the financial year ended 30th June 2024, which just ended, which is 1 year ago, the scheme had accrued an unpaid benefit amounting to 916 million, while the sponsor only remitted 40 million to settle outstanding debts or benefits. So what actions have been taken by RBA to address the situation? On 18th December 2008, the authority submitted the matter to the Kenya Anti-Corruption Commission for commencement of immediate investigations and proceedings against the trustees of the scheme. EACC has managed to initiated the recovery process, and the Commission recovered 21 million in April 2015, an amount which was remitted to the National Treasury. Later in October 2020, EACC confirmed a further 75 million through the sale of parcels of land. In a letter dated 11th October 2024, trustees confirmed receipt of 70 million, which was utilized in payment of outstanding benefits. So during the period of investigation, by the EACC, the authority has made continuous efforts to improve the governance and funding of the scheme through the following ways. First, convening regular meetings with trustees and sponsors to discuss the management and operations. Two, required proper constitution and certification of the Board of Trustees. Three, facilitated engagement with members through consultative forums, annual meetings, and member election forums. Number four, actually should be required trustees to undertake regular actuarial evaluation of the scheme to establish its financial position, and on several occasions, trustees and sponsors were required to submit a remedial payment plan to fund the realized actuarial deficit. Timelines for settlement of unpaid pension dues. The sponsors failed to provide a feasible remedial plan over time. The authority shall enforce payment of all unpaid benefits by 30th June 2025. Failure to comply with the timelines, the authority shall consider other enforcement actions, including initiating a statutory liquidation process of the scheme through a court process. So measures being taken to ensure the timely payment of pensions in future. The establishment of defined contribution scheme effective 1st July 2008 for accrual of future benefits, and the closure of the defined benefit scheme was a measure to ensure the affordability and sustainability of retirement benefits provided by Camri. It is expected that the defined benefit scheme will be wound up once all the payments for all current retirees are settled. Two, the authority shall enforce the requirement for the sponsor to submit and adhere to a remedial payment plan. Three, once fully funded, the sponsor and trustees shall be advised to consider transferring the risk of payment to retirees to an insurance company. This will mitigate the risk of the occurrence of future deficits in the scheme because of volatile investment experience and increasing life expectancy of members. Number four, and the last, the authority shall continue to monitor the management and operations of the scheme to ensure efficiency and timely disbursement of benefits. Honourable Chairman, in conclusion, the Retirement Benefits Authority has taken action to ensure that the scheme has established structures and processes for the timely payment of pension benefits outstanding the ongoing asset recovery process by EACC. The authority shall continue to enforce compliance by the trustees and sponsor of the scheme. I submit, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Any question from members? And before anybody asks, Mr. Sias, or number four. the authority shall enforce payment on all unpaid benefits by 30th June 2025. Has that been done?
I would ask RBA to respond.
Honorable Chairman, the answer is no, but the authority is in the final stages of initiating a statutory liquidation process of the scheme, and the matter is at the board level. I submit.
Member,
Chair,
with a question?
Chair,
Yes.
2 questions. Retirement Benefit Authority. How many Kenyans, apart from Camri, have not accessed their pension, and by how much? To Waziri, are you aware when Tuk appeared before Senate and before specifically this committee, they were arguing that they were being paid net in their salaries? As a ministry, and of course RBA is there and other state actors, what are you doing? Because the Tuk, and you know the problems that technical university faced then, the statutory reduction part was not being followed. And I know you need those statutory reduction in KRA, the issue of and other deductions that are provided by law. Are you aware that there are some institutions who are doing that? Therefore, it will affect you and other agencies that rely on those statutory reductions. And what is the ministry doing about it? Finally, on this issue of Camri, on this retirement benefits retirement authority. So the fact that the issue that you reported to EACC, apart from the recovery proceedings that has been done, how many people are in court over this matter, and how long has been the case? Have they been charged formally by yes? Thank you, Chair.
Any other? Okay, yes.
Chair, to address the question of non-remittance of deductions, I think I spoke to this earlier when I was making submissions during this, at the time we were discussing the issues of councillors. It is a practice that has been going on for a long time, and it has a number of reasons around it. But one of the reasons is that the carelessness in terms of, or lack of concern from these agencies in remitting the deduction. That is why we have come up with a new system of integrated payroll system. This is going to minimize or reduce risks of possible retention of salaries of employees and using it for, or applying it elsewhere. But the issue of our public universities is of grave concern because the funding has not been sufficient. And I would tell this committee chair that the new funding model that for some time was bashed actually is the solution to this perennial problem of universities getting less funding. If you talk to university administrations, they will tell you that they are getting a relief and a reprieve from this new funding model. It is the only solution that would address, because for years now, and I want to be understood very clearly, we have been living a lie that we take our children even to private universities, Chair. But in the process, we don't pay or we don't remit. From 2016 all the way to 2023, there were students who were being sponsored in private universities, but the government never transferred money to those universities. I have claims from these universities, from Uzima University, from Mount Kenya University, and they're running into billions. In fact, the latest figure was about 17 billion that we are required to settle, and we are working around how to settle it. The Committee of Education in the National Assembly is also on it, and we are working on those data. Because how do you take your children to a private university, someone's business, and you put public students there, they learn, they graduate and go home, and you don't pay? And then you are claiming that you are offering support to university education. It's not fair. And this government is taking clear steps to correct these mistakes that have been done over the years, to the extent now we feel it is the order of the day. And when we came up with this new funding model, some people oppose it without understanding that it is the solution to funding our universities. And you can see it is making, I would ask this committee, for example, to invite the vice chancellors of these universities. They will tell you this is the only solution to their perennial problems. And I want to leave it that we are taking action, and we are also taking action on those who are deducting money from employees and not remitting. You heard me speak, Senator Cherargei, during the devolution conference on the same. It is both at the national government level and at the county levels. Our parastatals are doing it, counties are doing it, we must put a stop to it. And who can do that? It is the National Treasury, which comes up with systems to deter and stop such kind of malpractices, and we are doing that.
Very well.
Maybe as Arabia comes in, and I think I really appreciate what the CS is putting, this point of how you even advocate into this matter. But why RBA, all these matters is happening, yet you are the authority to regulate these pensions and the pensioners? Why is it happening that in every sector, in every pension scheme, there are problems? Are your teeth not really working? Do you have some gaps in law such that now you need to tell this committee that we need to do ABCD so that counties and national governments, because we can see now Kenya Railways have a problem, Camri now have a problem, TSC has a problem, LAP Fund, LAP Trust, CPF, and all these other pension schemes have problems. What is the problem, really? You need to tell this committee so that if there are some gaps in law, then we can legislate and try to secure the problem. Otherwise, it seems like you sleep on the job.
In addition, Chair, I have almost 5 teachers that are still following for their pension. So in Kenya, you work hard to serve this country, but when you retire, you don't retire in peace. You start running around after the pension that you are supposed to be paid. So in addition, what are you doing? Because it's not only Camri and other, even TSC and other people who have gone to retire. Must they come to Nairobi? You meet old people with brown envelopes running to RPA, running to the agencies. What is the gap that my brother has asked about it?
Honorable Chair, thank you.
Go ahead.
Yeah, let me start with the last question, because the last question transcends across the whole domain of pension funds. But one, just to indicate to the space of public servants, and for this matter, teachers, I think the CS has already alluded to this matter. We have operated retirement benefit scheme for for civil servants when they are not funded. And the category of teachers, police, and other civil servants belong to that scheme, which is not funded, is funded on exchequer. That's number one. But number two, that scheme is not in the purview of the Retirement Benefits Act, because Section 32 of the Retirement Benefits Act exempt a scheme directly funded from the exchequer. But that does not take away the responsibility that we need to find hygiene, that when people exit from service, and I know I have colleagues from the pensions department here, that even when people leave service, that they should not be paid pensions within 30 days, for that matter. But I may also wish to hasten and say, many times you will find that the reason as to why there's a delay of payment of pensions, particularly for teachers, the time it takes for the files to be processed, to be taken to the pensions department, contributes to 80% of the non-payment of those benefits. So the charge may not be at the pensions department level. The charge could also be, and it's highly hypothecated, to the employer and how the files are processed. Coming back to the question, the second question, Honorable Chairman, the question is, we are finding charges within pension funds where people are not being paid. And I would say the following. We have charges, yes, particularly in the quasi-government organizations, where the remittance of contributions has been a charge. And anytime there's an engagement, the law requires that if an organization is not able to remit contributions on time, they can engage the authority with a remedial action plan as to how they will resolve the charges of non-remittance of contributions. Unfortunately, Chairman, and I think the number that even the CS spoke about earlier on, 98% of that population are in the public sector. It's a question of indiscipline because resources are allocated, but they are not transferred to the pension scheme. When they give a remedial action plan, they do not comply. Perhaps the regulator then has to apply a law, and the only effective regulation that we have at the moment perhaps disadvantages even the employees themselves because it means you bring the scheme to a stop. It's a liquidation process. Now, having said so, do we have, and I know Senator Cherargei asked this question, how many people are out there who are not receiving pensions when they are due? And I would say we are regulating 1,037 pension funds in Kenya today, with assets going beyond 2.23 trillion Kenya shillings as we speak today. I am not aware of any member who has not been paid pensions when they are due, including Camri that we are speaking today. Any employee of Camri who was employed and has benefits accruing from 2008, they get a check 30 days from the date they leave Camri. The challenge we are dealing with in Camri is for the period between 1983, when the scheme was established, and 2008. And as at the point when the authority instituted the collective action, the scheme actually was properly funded. If you look at it in the report that the CS has just led to this committee, it was like 700 million, out of which 117 million was still in the scheme. What was pilfered from the scheme was like 536 million, and that's how we took that matter to the ESCC. And I should say that this matter is still in court, but some of the culprits who are found in this process entered into a consent with ESCC for recovery of those resources. And Chairman, I should have said that I think a couple of properties to the tune of 200 million plus has been surrendered to the ESCC for disposal as an out-of-court settlement by some of the culprits who are found. But the other 300 million is still being pursued. So how do we get out of this mix in terms of Camri? I think the straightforward answer is the employer has also not made good. Although they have a good contribution scheme, the defined contribution scheme from 2008, they negated funding the old scheme. And that has continued to increase. And the reason as to why the numbers are increasing is people are retiring and they have to wait in a queue for them to get benefits. So we understand the scenario. And finally, what have we done? I should have indicated, Chairman, that the authority, through the National Treasury, has submitted 2 proposed amendments to the Retirement Benefits Act. And this has also already gone through public participation. Number 1, to amend Section 39 of the Retirement Benefits Act to bring all employers and CEOs of any entity that is supposed to remit contributions to be called to account under Section 39 for the irregularity of non-remittance of contribution. And there's culpability to that effect. I say this, it's a proposal. And number 2, to amend Section 53 of the Retirement Benefits Act to give Kenya Revenue Authority powers as an agency to collect and to attach for employers, against employers who have not remitted contributions. Honorable Chairman, I wish to confirm that this has already gone through public participation. The policy proposition has already been made. We are at the point of consideration by the National Treasury, and hopefully there will be a legal framework to strengthen that position. But yes, there has been a weakness in terms of the sanctions that could be applied to the wrongdoers for non-remittance of contributions. And finally, Chairman, to say that this challenge has come along in the last 7-8 years in the retirement benefits industry. I wish to submit, Chairman.
Okay. Bwana Sias, finally, Ole Kina's remittance, death, and disability benefits.